Selamat datang ke acara Top Marketing Secrets 2021. Saya Jessica dari Apiari yang akan menjadi host pada sore hari ini. Thank you so much for joining, padahal sebelum buka puasa ya, jadi sambilan ngabuburit. Oke, jadi aku pengen introduce dulu tentang Apiari. Apiari adalah coworking space di Puri Indah, Jakarta Barat, dan misi kami adalah sama seperti speaker pada hari ini untuk membantu startups dan business owners untuk menjadi sukses di usaha mereka. Maka kami menyediakan one-stop solution dengan 3 pilar, yaitu pertama education, kita menyediakan events dan banyak banget event yang seperti malam ini. Terus kita juga menyediakan services seperti VO, pendirian PT, accounting, dan tax. And finally, kita juga ada community of business owners, professionals. Jadi kalau teman-teman di sini punya bisnis atau di professional world, bahkan bisa join di community kita di apiari.id. Nah, untuk hari ini, I wanna introduce Jatis dulu, because this event is presented by Jatis Mobile. Oke, so Jatis is a digital communication and distribution company yang udah berjalan 18 tahun. Mereka memiliki 500 lebih corporate clients di berbagai macam industri, dari financial services, communication, retail, otomotif, dan lainnya. Jatis products include omnichannel marketing, customer service dashboard yang bernama Coaster, dan mereka juga memiliki service chatbot yang bernama Coral. Dan here are the few client portfolio yang udah ada. These are really big brand names, as you can see, Unilever, Alfamart, dan banyak bank-bank besar di Indonesia. Jatis is also the first business solution provider of Facebook and WhatsApp in Indonesia. Oke, so sebelum kita mulai, ada beberapa poin penting acara ini yang harus diperhatikan. Yang pertama, one of the panelists here, Robert, as you can see, is not Indonesian, so he's gonna speak in English. Jadi, as I said in the marketing of this event, kita bakal mix nih, gado-gado bahasa Indonesia dan bahasa Inggris ya. I hope you are fine. Tapi kalau perlu terjemahan, nanti bisa direct chat aja ke saya, Jessica @apiari ini. Terus yang kedua, at any moment in this panel talk, kalau teman-teman ada pertanyaan, silakan aja langsung ditulis di chatbot, ditulis di chat. Gara-gara ngomongin chatbot nih pada hari ini, ditulis di chat aja. Nanti kita akan coba cover all of the questions di panel talk yang pendek ini ya. Lalu di akhir acara nanti akan ada special quiz challenge, special prize dan giveaway, dan juga ada jadi I hope you guys can stick until the end untuk menanyakan pertanyaan juga nanti. Oke, di event ini kita akan membahas tentang top marketing strategy yang dapat teman-teman gunakan untuk boosting sales dan increasing customers di tahun 2021. Kita akan ngomongin tentang 3 different kinds of marketing strategy. Robert akan ngomongin soal Google Ads, Kodeni akan ngomongin soal community marketing, dan Odi akan ngomongin soal WhatsApp marketing. Jadi akan banyak banget daging dan knowledge yang kita akan dapatkan dari event ini ya. Tanpa berlama-lama, saya akan perkenalkan panelis kita satu one by one, dan masing-masing panelis mendapat 5 menit untuk sharing tentang their own way of marketing. Robert, so I'm gonna introduce you, and you're gonna have 5 minutes to share about your marketing ya. Okay, we're gonna start with Kodeni. Denny Santoso adalah one of the most reputable experts in digital marketing in Indonesia. He has built several businesses since 1999, starting from duniafitness.com, Digital Marketer, Passpot, Bonels, and he's currently building Tribelio, a community management platform for business. Oke, silakan Ko Denny.
Alright, thank you Jess. Selamat sore nih teman-teman semua yang ada di sini. Hopefully suara saya cukup clear ya, teman-teman di sini suara saya cukup jelas ya. Oke, so basically saya lagi building Tribelio. Jadi ceritanya begini sih, community itu adalah the next level of marketing. Jadi ujung-ujungnya Anda ngelakuin marketing adalah, jadi gini, marketing ada goal-nya adalah creating interest and demand. Itu. Jadi menciptakan orang itu jadi tertarik dan akhirnya menginginkan produk Anda. Setelah mereka tertarik dan menginginkan produk Anda, maka next step-nya adalah proses sales, penjualan. Ya, jadi marketing di ujung, habis itu terjadi penjualan. Setelah terjadi penjualan, sales, maka next step-nya adalah branding, brand experience. Apa yang akan dirasakan oleh customer setelah membeli menggunakan produk Anda? Apakah nyaman, apakah menyenangkan, apakah itu jadi bisa di talkable, shareable, whatever kayak gitu. Dan kalau di situ mereka puas, ujungnya akan menjadi fanatic fans atau tribe atau community. So there is the process. Sebenarnya proses flow-nya seperti itu. kalau kita lihat sendiri sekarang, even kayak Apple aja, itu Apple fanboy-nya kan kuat banget ya. Sebelum barangnya muncul, fansnya udah ngomongin rumor kesana kemari tuh bakal ada M1X chipset, M2 chipset, MacBook Air, MacBook Pro yang baru. Selalu kayak begitu, udah gila banget sih. Bahkan ketika launching pun habis itu Apple juga nggak perlu yang namanya ngiklan, karena semuanya udah talk about it gitu, kayak community-nya udah very very strong. Nah, semuanya pakai community, teman-teman. Jadi kalau ada lihat ada let's say Harley Davidson, mereka punya kayak Harley Davidson Hawks namanya. Davidson Harley Hawks kalau nggak salah. Itu adalah komunitas orang-orang yang memang suka pakai Harley Davidson. Justin Bieber punya Beliebers, kemudian Agnes Monica punya Agnation, kemudian Persija punya Jackmania. So if you can build a community around your brand, it's very strong. Marketing jadi murah, pembeli jadi pembela. Nah, itu konsep dari marketing itu sendiri. Bahkan kemarin ketika kita saya mengundang CEO-nya Body Shop di acara Clubhouse saya kemarin, dia mengatakan bahwa misi dari sebuah brand dia adalah kemarin itu social justice for women. Ada orang-orang yang kemarin itu ada satu orang yang belanja Body Shop harga 2,5 juta, gesek gitu 2,5 juta. Ketika dia melihat brand purpose-nya, dia gesek lagi 50 juta charity, men. Gila banget ya? Beli 2,5 juta, gesek lagi charity 50 juta. That is insane gitu. So, brand, community, and movement, that is the next step. Tapi kita akan ngomongin itu lebih lanjut lagi. Singkat aja untuk Tribelio. Tribelio sendiri itu adalah sebuah platform digital di mana teman-teman bisa membangun komunitas sambil memiliki akses database-nya. Jadi kalau kita, saya nggak bisa screen share ya. Tadi Jessica bilang saya bisa screen share. I'm gonna share pretty quick, like 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay, sure. Udah bisa.
Alright, thank you. So, Tribelio basically kayak begini modelnya. Hopefully udah keluar ya. Jadi Tribelio itu kita berusaha membuat sebuah platform untuk mengumpulkan your fans, your audience. Karena kalau pakai Instagram, pakai YouTube, audiensnya bukan milik Anda, itu milik YouTube, milik Instagram. Di ban hilang aja, nggak bisa ngapa-ngapain gitu. Kita nggak bisa broadcast. Bahkan itu kena algoritma. Sekarang yang kemarin statistik Indonesia yang ngelihat engagement dari Facebook page itu 0,05%. Which is kalau ada 1.000 follower atau 1.000 orang like, kalau ada posting something, yang lihat cuma 5 orang. Bayangin ya, kita udah ngiklanin kayak begitu, tapi yang lihat cuma dikit. So, kita tinggal ajak orang pakai Tribelio, so you can build your community di sini. Bahkan bisa lihat ya, ada satu brand, ini punya saya sih, ada satu orang ngajar masak di Instagram. Nah, tapi setelah bikin di sini, lihat nih yang terjadi. Nah, ini cerita bikin nih. Kalau di Instagram itu one way. Jadi brand akan ngomong ke audience and that's it gitu. Begitu audiensnya diajak untuk engage, nggak ada wadah, cuma bisa komen. Tapi kayak dia, ini 14.000 membernya, emak-emak. Jadi dia jualan resep masakan, tapi habis itu membernya udah kayak begini, enak banget nih resep dari ini. Jadi dia jualan resep. Ada yang create ini, jadi beli resep, dibuat, kemudian dijual lagi. Itu kayak gitu modelnya. Jadi ini jadi wadah bagi para member untuk menunjukkan ini aktualisasi diri. Dan karena Anda memiliki database-nya di sini, ini ada topiknya semua ya. Jadi nggak cuma pakai kayak Telegram yang random semua dalam satu feed. Tapi karena Anda juga memiliki database-nya, maka Anda bisa melakukan broadcast. Jadi ini ada marketing tools-nya di sini. Anda bisa create broadcast pakai email, pakai push notifikasi, bisa pakai automation bisa. Jadi di set begitu orang join langsung di set kayak oke, hari pertama yuk share tentang ini, yuk hari kedua share tentang ini, yuk hari ketiga share tentang ini. By email, by push notification bisa dibuat automation. Jadi ini memicu Anda membuat sebuah kolam wadah community for your brands, kemudian Anda melakukan edukasi all automatic. Itu yang berusaha dibuat oleh Tribelio. I think dari saya kurang lebih itu. Nanti kita diskusi lebih lanjut di sesi panel aja. Saya kembalikan ke Jessica. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Claudeni. Next, I want to introduce Robert Lai. So Robert Lai is the founder and CEO of Caliber Performance Marketing. And prior to Caliber, he worked in Google, where he won a 2019 Platinum Award-winning consultant in Google's New York office. Robert has over $400 million in digital ads experience. Okay, go ahead, Robert. You can introduce about Caliber and also your. Oh, you have a slide. Okay.
Yeah, Georgia, Professor slides. Yeah.
Okay, very
Okay,
very.
hi guys, nice to meet you all. I hope everyone's okay with English. I do apologize, I cannot speak Bahasa, but we do have a team in Indonesia that looks after Indonesian clients. So I'll do a quick introduction. As Jessica mentioned, I used to be a Googler. I started Caliber 14 months ago in the middle of the whole COVID-19 situation. So exactly 14 months last year. So we managed to grow our team now. We're working with some nice clients that are fast growth clients. We've solely focused on performance marketing. So some of the clients that we have locally in Indonesia, for example, include Circles Life, Telco, Glint, Style Theory, subsidiaries of Gojek, Zenium, Macari, British Council, and Tanaka Wang. So in terms of what we do, we only do performance marketing. We've grown to a team around 21 people. And that's just a quick background on me. I've had around 8 years of performance marketing experience, mainly work with agencies. I worked with around 3,500 client accounts. And as Jessica mentioned, I've managed over $400 in ad spend, $400 million in ad spend. In terms of what makes Caliber a bit different and unique, we have a big focus on respecting the user journey. We try to understand who the users are, not just looking at numbers, but trying to understand that every number or every click, every impression is an actual person that has a name, that has a trait, that has a personality, right? And we're trying to understand how we can nurture those users through from identifying that they have some sort of connection with the brand, trying to remarket and engage them, and then try to drive them to perform specific actions that we want them to perform. So this framework or methodology is called single purpose campaigns. And I sort of deep dived into Caliber behind this idea. And thankfully, a lot of clients that we've worked with believe in what we share. When it comes to execution of our campaigns, when it comes to awareness stage, we have the first touch point. And as we go deeper with a customer, those touch points become more and more personalized. The idea is we want to personalize. If we're able to put someone's name on an ad, we'd love to do that, but for a lot of reasons we can't. But the idea here is we want to personalize to every touch point, understand how users engage, understand what website, what part of the website they've been to, what they click through on, what type of video they like to watch, what product are they interested in the most. And then from there, we're able to then really personalize to their user journey. If they're in a stage in which they're still looking for more information, then we're not going to try to drive them to a 50% off offer, right? Even if you give me a 50% off a Lamborghini, well, A, I can't afford it, but B, I'm not interested right now, right? So these are things in which we try to personalize, we try to nurture, and eventually we'll nurture them enough towards the purchase stage. So that's a quick 5 minutes, I think my time's up, on myself and Caliber and the work that we do and the clients that we serve.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert. We're gonna dig deeper in the panel talk.
No worries.
Okay, so next, Roydinal Rizal. Sebentar.
Okay.
Oh wait, so Roydinal Rizal is the head of product and strategic synergy at Jatis Mobile. As I said, the first Facebook business solution provider in Indonesia. Previously, he worked at Gojek as a manager of merchant strategy and analytics covering GoPay and GoFood. Silakan, Adi.
Okay, thank you so much, Casey. I'll try to speak in English for the rest of the presentation. So I'm here to introduce to you guys about this new product that Jatis Mobile is partnering with Facebook, specifically WhatsApp Indonesia, and the product is called WhatsApp API. Now, WhatsApp API, if you guys know that you guys are probably all aware of WhatsApp application in which we use on a day-to-day basis, di mana aplikasi itu yang kita pakai untuk chatting ke teman-teman. Nah, WhatsApp API ini sedikit berbeda dari chatting aplikasi itu. Untuk WhatsApp sendiri, WhatsApp itu punya 3 produk. Salah satu antaranya adalah WhatsApp chatting platform yang kita pakai setiap hari. ada juga WhatsApp bisnis aplikasi yang kita bisa download dari Play Store, dan juga ada WhatsApp API yang brand-brand ataupun enterprise, small medium business can use and leverage in order to reach their end users and engage into their end users. And why do you want to use WhatsApp Business API? Is because WhatsApp Business API ini adalah solusi yang sangat customizable dan sangat fleksibel because it's based on API, so you can pair the solution with any of the needs that you want, such as you can pair this with omnichannel, with chatbot solution, with payment gateway, whatever that your brand needs, WhatsApp API can do that for you, you know. And the advantages of the product, itu will be summarized in 4 simple steps, in my opinion. So it's a solution-driven product, in which it means by it's highly customizable to the business needs. If your business needs only a chatbot solution, because that's all you need, then it's there for you. If you only need to have one-way messaging, then you can also apply that into your business needs. So that's why we're a very solution-centered product. Second of all, it's also a scalable product. Kenapa scalable? Karena kalau dilihat dari orang-orang Indonesia, kita semua tuh pakai aplikasi WhatsApp untuk chatting sehari-hari, di mana itu adalah menjadi aplikasi top of mind kita. Itu adalah menjadi super app Indonesia kita. So in order for a brand or an enterprise to reach your audience in a massive scale, you can definitely do that with WhatsApp API. Third point is it's secure. Having end-to-end encryption, it means that everything that you share with your end user stays encrypted between you and the end user itself. Lastly, dan juga it's a simple solution because it's something that we're used to every day. It's a messaging app that has 87% penetration in Indonesian market, highest than any messaging app out there. Dan juga kita di Jatis Mobile, we can help you onboard and create your brand presence in WhatsApp in order for you to do your marketing needs. Nah, ada beberapa cerita yang success stories ya, yang Jatis Mobile, klien-klien Jatis Mobile udah di WhatsApp API, yaitu salah satunya IndiHome. IndiHome ini, they're able to leverage their customer registration and also personalized notification through WhatsApp API. So if I am an IndiHome user, all I need to register on my IndiHome needs is just through their WhatsApp account. And if you guys can see, an IndiHome WhatsApp account has a green tick, which is very similar to a verified Instagram account. So IndiHome and other brands who have been onboarded into WhatsApp has this brand presence in order for your brand to best reach your users. Next, we also have the use case for Bank Mega. Bank Mega is quite spectacular in their use case because they use WhatsApp as their #1 platform for customer information. So if I am a Bank Mega customer and I need to know about their latest promotion, their nearest ATM location, all I need to do is just chat their WhatsApp number. And it's only one number that services all information. So it's very easy to remember. It's in your top of mind when you think of the brand. And you can even have brand personas, like Bank Mega has the bank persona of Mila as your personal assistant to help you with any of your bank needs. Bank Mega is also paired this solution with chatbot. So all of your questions will automatically be replied via chatbot. And that's just easier for you to interact with the brand that way. Next, our newest use case is also our most spectacular, in my opinion, because in Tip Top Supermarket, they leverage WhatsApp API so that their end users can transact and buy goods from Tip Top Supermarket through WhatsApp. So me as a Tip Top user, I can just WhatsApp Tip Top official account on their WhatsApp number and buy goods from their supermarket and deliver directly into my door. And this is quite revolutionary because we see a lot of our application platform using this type of use case, be it GoFood, be it other mart application. But the reason why WhatsApp is a very great platform for this type of initiative is because it's already in everyone's day-to-day activity. It's already your #1 application that you use on a day-to-day basis. It's probably the #1 app that you open whenever you wake up from your bed, right? It's like I'm checking my WhatsApp messages from last night. So it's already in everyone's top of mind. It's already has the highest market penetration, and that's what we are offering to you guys today, a chance to go into this product.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Odi. I think definitely Odi, Denny, and Robert can work together because it's kind of like complementary. Okay, so now let's
Yeah,
get
definitely.
on to the panel talk. Nanti dari teman-teman yang mau nanya pertanyaan silahkan di chat box saja karena ini super interaktif dan anyone can ask any questions. So for the first question I have is, what are your opinions as marketing experts on how a brand stand out and stay ahead among the sea of competitors? Terutama kan pas pandemic, everyone is going like to their social media, checking like everyone. There's a sea of like information and noise that it's hard for people to like choose one specific brand because there's so many options, right? So maybe we can start by Koro Denny dulu.
Oke, kalau dari aku sih simpel sih. Produk udah bukan sebuah wadah atau sebuah hal yang kita bisa compete lagi dari sisi kayak quality dan sebagainya, karena most people sekarang punya produk udah bagus-bagus ya. And kalau kita jualan juga kita bisa resell, dropship. Jadi competition di produk itu sudah very heavy. So if you want to compete, itu sudah di level brand. Cuman brand sekarang juga sudah mulai lumayan tough gitu karena udah puluhan tahun ya. Jadi kita ngelihatnya timeline nih. Era production itu tahun 1920, 1930. That is era production gitu. Nah, habis itu era-era tahun kayak 60, 70, 80 itu mulai era brand. Makanya ada brand manager dan sebagainya. Hari ini brand yang kuat itu biasanya punya purpose. Like maybe kayak a social purpose gitu. Bahkan kayak Coca-Cola aja punya community untuk bantuin orang HIV, misalkan memerangi HIV. Dia punya community untuk ngumpulin air bersih untuk disalurkan ke desa-desa yang butuh air bersih. So, I think in the future arahnya akan ke sana semua. Jadi kata kuncinya adalah brand with a purpose. Bukan cuma brand asal nama doang, kemudian cuma habis itu bikin engagement di Instagram doang. It's not like that. So, the goal adalah how you create a purpose, like a bigger purpose for your brand. Gitu sih.
Okay, thank you, Kodeni. Well said. Next, Robert, do you have anything to add on how a brand could stand out and stay ahead among the sea of competitors in 2021?
Yeah, the brands that we work with are typically brands that are not big just yet, and they want to be big. I think the main thing to do here for any brand is to really look at being more personalized, to be more, to resonate more, to focus on users' problem points. If you're able to provide information, give them what they need, show that you understand what their needs are, then it's similar to having the way I think of marketing, brand, and sales is it's exact same, except with sales you can only do it on a one-to-one scale. With marketing, the same thing that you do with sales, but to thousands or hundreds of thousands of people. So the objective there is to understand what the users' needs are, what is it that they want, and giving them what they want. So if they want information, then give them content. Right? If they want to be inspired, then have nice pictures to be able to capture their attention. If they're looking for a discount, then you can send them a discount. So these are things that we look at doing, trying to personalize towards their needs. So people don't want to see ads, or they won't engage with ads that don't interest them. If I'm looking for shoes and you're trying to sell me a t-shirt, I'm not interested, right? Because I'm looking for shoes. So I think the main thing that brands can do is just really focus on being more personalized, have an audience and user in mind that they want to reach. The tools that you have in digital marketing, they're very powerful, and you can really, really hone in on a particular audience. But what you serve to that audience, the example I like to give, you can have the world's best targeting, but you have a terrible creative, or you don't really resonate, it's not going to work. But you can have the world's best creative that really resonates, and you can have the worst targeting, and that will work. So if you can combine the two, then that's even more powerful, right? You have a good creative with the right targeting is going to get you results.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Robert. Odi, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with Kodeni and Robert on a brand should have purpose, and a brand should also identify the needs and wants of their user base, right? And I think if I want to add a third point to this, also a brand should be equipped with the necessary tools and the best tools that is available for them to appropriately reach their audience. And so if you look at the different markets, if you look at Indonesia as an example, why I want to stress out WhatsApp API being a great tool is because just because everyone has used WhatsApp on a day-to-day basis, it's something that is on everyone's mind, regardless of your demographic, regardless of your employment status or social status. It's something that a brand can jump into, and if they have the right purpose for that brand and they identify the proper needs and want of their end user base, WhatsApp API becomes their best tool to really strike forward and make that brand a success.
Okay, I love it. I love all the questions. So in conclusion, brands need to have a purpose. Brands need to be more personalized and relatable to the audience. And definitely brands need to be equipped with the appropriate tools to reach the customers. Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone. For the next panel talk question, I would like to ask, what do you guys think on how does a brand stay relevant in the changing market? Like we saw a lot of changing customer behavior throughout this pandemic. So how can one brand be relevant to the same target market, according to your opinion? Maybe starting from Ko Denny again.
Right. So kalau aku sih always start from the market ya. Jadi ngobrol dengan market itu maunya apa, butuhnya apa. Karena yang aku lihat itu dari ketemu banyak brands, banyak teman, banyak entrepreneur juga adalah kebanyakan dari mereka itu fokus on the product. High quality product, kemudian motifnya banyak, misalkan harganya murah, kualitasnya bagus, garansinya lengkap, servisnya oke. So it's all production, apa ya, I would say kayak kosakata orang production gitu, instead of marketing work gitu kan. Marketing work itu kayak lebih kayak, market ini mimpinya apa sih with my products? What is their dream? What is their pain? What is their use case? Apa yang menjadi value buat mereka? Kemarin ada yang bilang kayak, aku punya toko baju dan aku, kalau di tempatku tuh ada garansi retur, barang retur gitu, ada garansi kayak begitu. Mungkin itu value yang cukup oke sih. Tapi apakah itu menjadi decision factor sebuah market memilih brand tersebut? Apakah memilih brand itu karena mau bisa retur gitu? Jessica sendiri kalau beli fashion, berapa sering sih kamu retur baju? Mikir ya. Kayak aku juga nggak pernah gitu balikin baju gitu, kayak aku harus retur. So aku pilih toko ini karena aku pilih brand ini karena aku dijamin bisa retur nih. Kayak that it's a value, but it's not important for the customers. Jadi balik lagi adalah you have to talk with your customer. What is the most important value for your customers? That is number one, right? So jangan. Nah kemudian kita nih masuk ke era online nih karena dipaksa oleh pandemi semuanya harus online. Semua berpikir bahwa ya pokoknya udah dipasang, websitenya bagus, semuanya jalan, iklannya jalan, endorse artis. Tapi mereka sekali lagi tidak pernah berkomunikasi with their market. Jadi itu yang menjadi problem. You have to talk with your market. Literally setiap hari kita setiap hari ngobrol with our market sih. Problemnya di mana, mereka nyarinya apa, komplainnya di mana. Komplain tuh harus hilang nih kalau bisa nih gitu. So ya, untuk stay relevan itu kan relevan ke market tuh. Ya you have to talk with the market. Gitu. Kalau ada perubahan behavior with the market, you have to understand, you have to see it first karena dekat sama market. Itu, I think itu.
I love it. Thank you, Ko Denny. Robert, do you also do this kind of things? Like, do you interact with the market to know more of their needs according to the target customer?
Yeah, a part of that is also doing things like this, like webinars and whatnot, to just have an understanding of what people's needs are. We do a lot of A/B testing. We put a lot of things out there. We create a lot of content. I think the main thing to remain relevant, especially Caliber is a brand that we built and a company that we built in the midst of a pandemic. And I think one thing that we focused on, I didn't hire any salespeople. I hired a content team, a very talented content team, and we focused on adding value. I think brands need to add value, it's not just about producing content, but the content needs to be valuable. If the content's valuable, then people will engage. And if people engage, then that's how brands remain relevant. And then, it's not about finding what you can sell to them. It's about building that trust. And then eventually, they'll find a way to buy something off of you, right? Because they understand your mindset, they understand, they relate with your brand. So I think it's focused on building value, right? If you're able to give value up front, and then that will help brands in the future. And it's just a matter of, the webinars that I've attended, I focused my sole focus on trying to give value, give as much information as I can, And out of that, I've seen people follow or people perform actions that help me. So I think that's the same thing whether your brand's a big brand or small brand. Focus on adding value, and then your customers will find you.
Yeah, that's nice. Odi, would you like to add anything?
Yes. Okay. I totally agree with the other two speakers says about this. The ability to see what the market needs, identify the market needs, and also creating value, right? I want to stress out one thing about a brand and a particular business has also have the courage to be able to adapt to change, be it changing of your consumer behavior or even changing in what is available there in the market in terms of products, in terms of technology and everything. Because a brand that refuses to adapt to change and refuses to listen to its users and listen to the market will most likely not be able to survive. A great example for this would be like BlackBerry was super huge in Indonesia. Everybody had a BlackBerry back in the day, but now BlackBerry phones are like no one has a BlackBerry anymore. And why is that? It's because phones become much more than a tool for communication, and people shift their preference from button phones to phones that have a full on screen, and people have even a better platform for messaging than BlackBerry Messenger. People was exposed to WhatsApp chats for the first time, and that took the Indonesian market by storm. So I think it's important for a brand to identify these points of change and points of inflections in the market and ride the wave, or even more so than ride the wave, but become market leaders of the change, right? And that's why you can also use that in WhatsApp API, becoming a market leader in this particular new product to create your brand presence there and be above your competition.
Okay, thank you so much, Odi. So to summarize, a brand could stay relevant in the changing market and consumer demands by focusing on the customer's needs, pain points, and motivation. And brands could also use this kind of events to interact with the customers, do A/B testing to experiment different things that customers want. And also, you need to add value to the customers to build trust. And finally, you need to identify changes to the market and adapt to them. All right, so thank you so much for that. I think I'm gonna start asking the participants questions because we already have 20 more minutes to this talk. So the first question would be, okay, from Paula, how marketers can prepare for the future during a global pandemic? What do you guys think? Anyone could jump in to answer the question.
How brand can apa tadi stay relevant? What?
How can marketers prepare for the future during this global pandemic? Maybe starting from Robert, because you built your business in this global pandemic.
Yeah, I don't even know how we did it. So how marketers can prepare for the future during a global pandemic. I think, obviously, if you're not online, you should have been online yesterday. That's number one. But know that things are going to bounce back. Everything always bounces back. But it's a really good opportunity during the global pandemic. If you have the ability to reach, you have even more ability to reach your users now through online than you could ever before. So everyone's been forced online. There's a lot of opportunities in which, just to give an example, right? A lot of meetings are now conducted via Zoom or Google Meets. In a traditional sense, in business in the Asian region, you have to meet in person. You have to shake hands. You have to sit down and do a 2-hour-long meeting plus the commute. Now that's all out of the way. So for you to be able to close deals should be, 5 to 10 times faster. So because of these things, there's actually a lot of opportunity, depending how you look at it. But you need to think online first and how you can make a great user experience for the users you're looking to reach. To give some additional insight, I think the global pandemic is one problem, but I think the other thing to be worried about is next year cookies will be gone, meaning that a lot of things around privacy will be implemented by the big platforms of Google and Facebook. So global pandemic and also global wipeout of all cookies is also another problem. So how to prepare for that is to collect as much data as possible, start learning more about online as quickly as you can, and all the touch points that you can better understand of your customers. And this will hopefully future-proof you for the pandemic and the other pandemic that will be the cookies disappearing.
Okay, thank you, Robert, for the warning. I'm gonna go ahead and ask a next question. So from Gilang asked how to build a business community effectively. Is there any tools or tips that you can use? But I'm gonna change the question slightly into how to build a loyal following for your brand, because I'm pretty sure everyone here has something to say. Maybe from Kodeni first.
Okay, thank you. Yang pasti gini, komunitas itu bukan berkumpul demi produk Anda. Itu biasanya adalah kesalahan. The biggest mistake for brand to build a community is that they are centering the audience to their brand. Itu problemnya di situ. Harusnya adalah to the customer atau audience future hope. So, apa future hope-nya mereka? So, for example, kalau misalkan aku harus bikin komunitas tentang, aku punya misalkan nih, jualan suplemen pembakar lemak. Kalau aku bilang kayak, yuk join di komunitasku tentang suplemen pembakar lemak, it's not interesting, man. Like kayak, kenapa gue harus beli pembakar lemak gitu kan? Tapi kalau misalkan build, ini awal ya, ini buat yang baru dari nol banget ya. Kalau aku misalkan bilang, yuk join di komunitasku, kita ada dokter-dokter nih, kita ada tim nih untuk ngebantu kamu bisa turun 10 kilo. Kan langsung kayak, wah, interesting. Oke, I wanna listen more, gitu kan? At least I wanna listen more. Oke, good. Kita akan siapin nih tim dokter, misalkan, you can ask question, nutritionist, kemudian kita punya framework-nya untuk latihan. Latihan apa sih yang ngebakar lemak lebih cepat? Do you think jogging, cardio itu burn fat? No, it's not. It's burn sugar, blood sugar gitu kan. Makanya lu udah cardio nggak turun-turun. Nah, kita ketembak kayak begitu tuh. Setelah mereka interested and join to our community, kita bimbing mereka. The result itu yang akan empowering others untuk joining the community. Jadi bukan one way lagi, tapi gimana kita bisa benar-benar make impact, create result, dan membuat mereka ini menjadi pembeli, menjadi pembela tadi. Nah, itu akan baru jadi. Nggak bisa kayak, oke, kita kumpulin dalam satu kolam ya, habis itu kita broadcast ya, kita promo dan sebagainya. It's not gonna work. It's gonna work for a little while, tapi habis itu dia akan stuck. Gitu. Jadi harus ada future goal-nya apa, kenapa dia mau, funnel-nya harus didesain. Ini biasanya brand-brand online brand-brand mau masuk online agak challenging di sini. Mungkin Robert tadi lebih clear banget ya tentang funnel and everything, customer journey dan sebagainya, itu yang harus didesain. Karena online itu Anda harus ngebawa traffic sendiri, harus mengedukasi sendiri. Baru dari situ, magical aha moment during the customer journey, ini yang akan membuat brand loyalty dari community tadi. Jadi Apple fanboy itu adalah karena, kenapa brand seru banget sih? Karena ada magical moment selama orang mulai kenal sampai use the product. Misalkan tas Herming, even tas Herming. Oke, beli tas. Begitu beli tas, kemudian kalau ketemu temennya bilang, buset, pakai Hermes sekarang, udah langsung naik gitu kan, gue orang kaya nih, gitu, misalnya kayak gitu. Nah, itu termasuk magical moment pakai tas Hermes. Even after beli keluar dari store, baru dipakai bulan depan ada kondangan atau apapun, ada komentar gitu. There is one of the magical experience using the brand. Nah, itu harus di-create tuh, satu-satu tuh. Nah, daripada sekarang cuma mikirin market, mau nggak harga promo dan sebagainya, if you are stuck in promotion mode hari ini, omset lagi turun nih, kita bandel, kita jualan promo-promo terus, we forgot about the experience. One question coba ke Jessica, karena Jess cewek di sini. Hebatnya, apa sih hebatnya Diamond? Kenapa cewek tergila-gila sama Diamond? It's a useless stone, dimarketingkan dengan the most expensive price.
Because it's sparkly.
It's what? It's what?
It's sparkly.
It's sparkling. Terus kalau sama kristal yang murah-murah gimana? Sama Swarovski deh versus diamond gitu. Sama-sama sparkling.
Aja sih sama diamond, tapi wrong girl to ask.
But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
I mean, itu nggak ada gunanya. If you think about function, it's no function at all. Jadi dia dimarketingkan beyond function, beyond the product. It's experience, right? Yeah. So itu yang harus di-create. Ya kurang lebih kayak gitulah ininya, pertamanya.
Yeah, gitu. That's really good answer, Kodeni. Actually, habis event ini tuh kita ada event lain tentang creating marketing funnel, which really relates to what you say. So it's great that you brought it up. Okay, by the way guys, kan kita ini 20 menit lagi. Jatis Mobile mau bagi-bagi 100.000 GoPay balance bagi 5 orang yang menanyakan pertanyaan sekarang. Jadi coba give your questions in the chat box below dan rebutan ya. Nanti kita bakal approach for the winners. Oke, Odi and Robert, do you guys want to add? Yeah, Fernando Halim, apa kabar? Do you guys want to add on that question, like how to build a loyal following? Robert, you briefly mentioned about adding value, right? Can you elaborate more?
Yeah. Adding value, I think, depends on the vertical you're in. And actually, that was a good question from someone else. When offering innovative products that might not be acceptable yet by many people in the market, what is the best marketing strategy other than giving education about the value? When I think of education about value, that's selling a solution. I think the thing that we need to really focus on is what are people's problems. So some of the problems for people in the marketing space and probably people here is, where do I start? What are the fundamentals? What should I focus on? How do I focus on this for my problem? And it's really about trying to help people, right? Help people at scale, try to give them value, try to understand what is it that they're likely struggling with, that I probably have the experience I've already been through. If you're able to do those things, then I think, over time, you'll be able to build a community because, well, a lot of people have the same problem. So that's why, people build blogs, they build these things because people gather in these places and forums to be able to bounce around ideas, to learn off of each other. So yeah, we actually have a blog as well, blog.caliber.asia, which you can find lots of resources around marketing for all levels of marketers. Doesn't just need to be advanced people. We've got lots of 101 content as well. But I think to be able to build a community, it's about people believing the same thing, adding value, also being consistent. Because one thing is, if you're inconsistent, then it's very quickly those fans and followers disappear. So it's not easy to be able to build a following. Yeah, hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Odi, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, can you briefly repeat the question, Casey? Just to refresh me.
Yeah, how can a brand build a loyal following?
Okay, I think the idea of loyalty is very difficult and very tricky for a brand to get, right? Because a loyalty, then you have to create your brand presence, then you have to also have the best business strategies among your competitors to stay relevant, have a sense of purpose, identify correct needs and wants of your customer base, also adapt to technological change. So having a brand loyalty is like a metrics is like a very complicated metrics, and you have to, I think when it boils down to it, when you already identify the right purpose for the brand, when you already identify the right needs for your end user base, then it all comes to execution, right? Execution sometimes is almost 90% of the bulk of the work is on how you execute an idea, how you execute your product. And I'm here to share to everyone about the execution tool for WhatsApp API, which is the best way for you to reach your brand, reach your end user, reach your target customers, because it's a tool for you to execute whatever your message is, whatever the brand's values are, and a tool that is heavily engaged in everyone's day-to-day. So I think in order for you to gain a brand loyalty, one of the things that you have to really focus on is, again, execution on your strategies. That's what's important.
Odi, I actually got a private question here from Francisca. So Francisca asked, because you're also providing chatbot, kan? How about if the chatbot cannot answer something that the customer say? Like, does the customer service go in there or something?
Oh, that's a great question. So if a chatbot is unable to answer a user's query, usually it is escalated into a customer service agent. And that's why WhatsApp API is a solution that is customizable into your needs. So most of our clients actually have chatbot solution paired with omnichannel solution. If I can briefly mention about accounts like OJK, Otoritas Jasa Keuangan Indonesia, has used our WhatsApp API and they paired that solution with also chatbot and escalation to customer service, because sometimes our queries are very complex and we need that human interaction, right? Apart from just chatbot itself. So you can definitely pair that. And that's a very normal use case for you to have in an API account.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Adi. So there's a good question here from Jordan. How do we measure the quality of a marketing strategy? Is it simply if the sales and customer count are increasing, or so the strategy is good enough, or are there any parameters? This is kind of like the question: is it the product or the marketing that is good? You know.
Simple sih kalau dari jawab aku ini ya duluan ya. Simple banget sih. What is your KPI? Itu aja. Jadi North Star metricnya apa? Apakah sales? Apakah DAU? Daily active user? Ataukah mau monthly active user? Apakah register? Apakah leads? Apakah inbound kontak masuk? Itu. Jadi marketing itu kan bukan semuanya tentang jualan ya. Marketing itu kan creating interest and demand. Jadi ada interest, habis itu do something gitu. Do somethingnya macam-macam tuh. Bisa register, sign up, buy, apapun itu sih, atau use the product, use the apps misalkan. So it's really depend on the KPI. Jadi tinggal dari situ aja. Make sure you understand what is your North Star metric first before ini yang lain gitu.
Okay, thank you, Kak Denny. Robert, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. I think when it comes to measuring the quality of a marketing strategy, you need to start, as mentioned, with an objective, but understand that there is a path to purchase, right? Path to purchase, if I'm buying a car, I'm not going to buy it tomorrow. I'm going to do research, I'm going to test drive, I'm going to visit the showroom, I'm going to do all these things. So you need to understand what the user journey is. If I am running out of socks, then I may buy socks tomorrow because I understand the products really well, right? So it really depends. There are what we call lagging metrics. Lagging metrics are sales, purchases, leads, because these are things that happen after all your marketing is done. The leading metrics are things around clicks, click-through rate, engagement, how long someone spends on your website, if they've engaged with a certain piece of content. These are leading metrics to show that, okay, something's moving in the right direction. So if you can forecast what the path looks like, you've strategized to the path, that user journey, then eventually you will get sales. So the answer to a good marketing strategy, yes, it is to get sales. But how you get there, there's a lot of steps. And if you're able to follow those steps, then that is what I can dictate as good marketing strategy.
Okay, that's nicely said. Okay, because there are so many questions here, and I'm gonna ask Adi this question. So relating to the question just previously, so once you already have like a good marketing strategy, right, and you built all of this quality leads. So Firial here asked, what do you do with the leads? Like how do we ensure that more convert?
Yeah. Okay. I think if you're looking into marketing strategies, it's also important to look into the user journey, right? The user journey from either the user first receives communication or information about your brand into making a purchase, and you can identify what's your you can talk about, okay, my brand is at so-and-so stage, so I only care about volume. My brand is on so-and-so stage, so I only care about active user. My brand is already more mature, so I care about sales and impact. So identifying your click off on your user journey, and once you've already have a great strategy, then it's all about engagement, right? Engagement, and because engagement leads to knowledge. Knowledge leads to understanding of your customers' needs, and for you to understand your customers' needs, then you'll be able to evolve your brand appropriately. So I think, and engagement, then it's all about execution. Which tools is it for you to better execute your engagement at? So I think that's how I see it.
Okay, thank you so much, Adi. All right, next question here. Oh, so many questions. Okay, from Fernando Halim, ya. Does irrational or emotional market is better than the market? Fernando, do you want to just unmute your mic?
Yeah, I see so many questions.
Thank you. Okay, question is, does irrational or irrational market is better than market that was smarter or use more like logic feature and so on and so far? Because in my first try on learning about the world of digital marketing. I use niche, I use feminist niche, and I sell product such as t-shirt, phone, and so on. And the dream I give is to empowering moment in the safer way, safest way, because there are some cases that when they're trying to empower other, they got something like abuse, or they got they got abused.
Yeah, I think I got your question, Fernando. So you want to sell T-shirt, but you choose the niche feminism, right? So you want to empower women. So you want to sell T-shirt that stated like, women something, right? Am I right?
Yes, right.
Okay, so aku jawab aja deh karena aku paham banget nih kalau misalkan tentang ini custom product kan, ini kan custom print product gitu kan?
Yes.
Okay, so the idea of selling custom product is that produk yang kayak mug, topi, jaket, hoodie, t-shirt, pants, tas, bag gitu, itu adalah representing the identity of your community. So imagine Persija tadi, klub bola Persija, kalau mereka ada yang namanya event, kemudian seluruh fansnya namanya Jackmania itu ngumpul, pakai bajunya Arema atau Persija, udah pasti pakai bajunya Persija kan. So the custom merchandise and everything itu cuma representing the identity of the community. Kalau kamu suka banget namanya Doraemon, kamu akan pakai casing handphone Doraemon. Kalau kamu suka banget namanya Spider-Man, you will use casing Spider-Man, gitu kan? Nggak mungkin kalau misalkan kayak aku gini tiba-tiba ini Mickey Mouse gitu, kayak it's not representing my identity kan, kayak as a Mickey Mouse lover. So untuk berhasil jualan, maka kamu harus menentukan dulu identitinya dan harus jadi dulu identitinya. Kalau kamu adalah seorang dokter, maka kamu akan pakai jas putih. Intinya itu. Okay, so identity first, and then merch-nya untuk menunjukkan this is me. Kalau kamu adalah a Christian person, jadi religious Christian person gitu, kamu akan pakai, ada Bible, ada salib, ada kalung, ada salibnya, whatever lah kayak gitu. Itu adalah merepresent identity sebenarnya. Jadi kalau misalkan ini problemmu nggak laku sama sekali, identity-nya belum jadi. Nah, identity-nya adalah level tertinggi dari sebuah community. Jadi community dibentuk as a group of people connected with one big idea, lead by a leader. So there is community. I call it tribe ya, lebih kuat ya. Tribe itu suku ya. Kalau community kurang strong gitu. So tribe, baca Seth Godin punya tulisan, is a group of people connected to one idea, lead by a leader. One idea, one belief, one niche, one interest, whatever, kayak gitu. So there is a niche gitu. Nah, setelah mereka berproses di situ, mereka akan menemukan yang namanya community identity. Aku adalah Apple fanboy, misalkan. Nah, itu. Kalau ditanya apakah pakai Apple, terus pindah ke Samsung, misalkan, terus nggak bisa gitu. Sama kan, semuanya sama kan, exactly the same thing. Bahkan game-nya aja ada. Game di iPhone, game di Samsung juga mostly ada. Mau pakai Facebook di sini, pakai di sini, mostly ada. Jadi nggak ada yang nggak bisa, sebenarnya kayak begitu. Tapi kenapa orang nggak mau pindah? Karena identity is the glue of the community to the brand. Kalau kamu misalkan, let's say kamu adalah seorang Katolik nih teman-teman, Katolik gitu ya, Christian gitu. Terus disuruh, oke, ke masjid aja. Doa pakai caramu deh, pakai cara Katolik. Aneh kan? Because it's not the identity. Dan sebaliknya, vice versa, guys. Ya, jadi bukan mengubah agama, tapi masuk ke tempat yang lain aja, itu tidak nyaman. Karena it's not the identity. Bayangin kalau misalkan ada penggemar Jackmania tadi, penggemar Persija gitu, terus masuk nonton Arema, kayak, what am I doing here? Kayak gitu kan. Nah, kalau identitinya udah jadi, maka jualan custom produknya itu sangat mudah sekali. Udah langsung jadi. Kumpulin pecinta Doraemon, jualan kaos Doraemon. Udah langsung laku, udah pasti gitu. Tapi kalau dibalik, aku punya kaos gini mau empowering women, tapi empowering women-nya udah jadi belum community-nya. Kalau itu belum jadi, nggak akan laku kaosnya.
Yeah.
So that's my answer.
I think we need a separate session for this community code.
Thank you much.
Okay, jadi I think that pretty much answers Steven's and Elizabeth's question juga ya about community. Okay, because we only have 5 minutes left, I want to summarize this whole panel talk. Could Kodeni, Robert, and Odi give one very practical tip for everyone here to do as a marketing strategy, like just the one tip?
Oke, aku dulu deh.
Okay.
One tip ya, check your Instagram engagement. caranya gini, sekarang untuk menentukan apakah arah Anda sudah benar, apakah Anda mau build community, atau audiens Anda cuma mikir Anda adalah sebuah produk. Oke. Posting di Instagram Anda, entah itu brand, entah itu apapun itu, tanya, Anda follow akun saya karena pengen dapat apa sih? Atau misalkan ini, what is the most asked question, guys? Kayak, ask me anything about apa gitu. Ask me anything about, ask me anything gitu. Misalkan simply kayak kalau biar ask me anything gitu. Guys, silakan posting pertanyaanmu di kolom chat gitu. Kalau misalkan tidak dianggap, tidak ada yang komen, you have a problem. Mau jualan sementara posting nanya aja nggak dijawab gitu. Kayak lu dicuekin sama audiens lu gitu kan. Or kalau Anda punya brand, tapi begitu di posting kayak begitu, mereka cuma nanya, Kak, kapan ada promo lagi? Wah, you just a product catalog, man. So Instagram Anda cuma produk katalog. Padahal Instagram is supposed to be a communication channel. Jadi cek di situ dulu. Actionable tips, lakukan, lihat responnya, Anda akan dapat feedback dari market so instant.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kak Denny. Spoken like an expert, which you are actually.
Thank you.
Next, Robert, one practical tip they could do today.
Today, start collecting as much information as possible. In less than 6 months, the internet, as we know, will change, and not for the better. So a lot of people aren't aware, but there are big changes coming, and it will change a lot of things. So collect as much information as possible. Try and, I know it's not easy, but try and understand what is the future of this entire marketing space. The future, in my perspective, is connecting servers directly to Google and Facebook if you're looking to advertise, and just trying to better understand who your customers are, collecting more information on them. Soon enough, all the information will disappear. So the best time is now, or yesterday. So the idea there is to collect as much information as possible, so then at least you have a path forward from 2022 and beyond.
Thanks, Robert. You're scaring all of us marketers. Okay, next, Adi, just one tip?
Okay, I think one tip is definitely be more online than ever before. Create your brand presence everywhere, and create your brand presence on WhatsApp. Become a verified account. Engage with your users through our API solution, because then it's the best tool for you to identify more of your market needs, identify if they're shifting change, and become more online affluent, because everything is definitely going online. And if you're not online, then you don't exist, essentially, especially after the pandemic.